Hey ladies and gentlemen, today I'm going to show you how to draw Nokk, or some type of horse that's inspired by Nokk from the movie Frozen 2. We'll have options to draw a water horse like Nokk, or a fire horse, or a wind horse, or if you can think of something from your own imagination to draw as a elemental horse, go for it. Totally do it. Horses are difficult to draw, so when you're using this, make sure you start with pencil and make sure you're being patient with yourself. Understand that this is not I'm not a super expert at drawing horses. I'm not a master at this yet. So have patience with yourself. If you mess up, understand I'm probably going to mess up, and I'm the art teacher. So if I'm probably going to mess up, it's very likely that y'all are going to mess up, especially if this is the first time that you're ever trying to draw a horse like this. So have patience with yourself and understand that mess ups are probably going to happen. Be okay with it. That's why the first couple ones you want to do, just already have it in your brain. This is my practice. This is not the one that I'm going to hold on and love and frame. But if it is, that's totally fine. If you practice on a napkin and you think that's the best horse that you've ever drawn, frame that napkin. Love it. It is totally fine to have your best work be one of your practices. It's also fine to have some of your worst work be some of your practices. That's why practicing is so important. So let's start our first practice. Start Nokk. First we're going to start our body, and we're going to build it up until it looks like a headless horse. Then we're going to add the head on. And once you have the head on, then that's where the fun begins of adding in the mane and tail. So for the body, it is better if you try and have your paper in landscape orientation. This is portrait orientation. Landscape works better because horses are longer than they are tall. So we're starting with 2 circles. 1 circle is for the rib cage, and if I'm drawing lightly, I'm sorry, but like I said, you want to draw light. I'll draw it a little bit darker just so y'all can see it in the video, but I want y'all to draw this very lightly. 1 circle is for the rib cage. Horses have really big rib cages because they have really big lungs, because they are super strong when they run, and it takes really big lungs to do that. Then we have another circle. This is for its pelvis, its hips, and those giant leg muscles that are on the back that help it run and jump. So these two circles represent its rib cage and its leg muscles and pelvis. Then for step 2, we have a curve for the back. Horses have a slightly curved back. That's where the saddle goes, but make sure it's not too curved. If it's dipped down too far, it looks almost like a reverse camel. Then we have a line that curves up because we go from a big rib cage, and horses have tiny little waists because they got all their organs in this area. There's not so much organs in this area, so it gets smaller. Then we have the legs. Now the legs are where things start to get tough. So like I said, be patient with yourself. The first leg is probably the toughest. That's why we do this one first. This one, like it says on the step-by-step drawing, it says first leg is shaped like a sideways M or a staircase. So we're starting, looks like in the middle of this circle, closer to the top, and we make a staircase. Goes over and then down and then over and then down. And I can tell you right now, every time that I have drawn this horse, it has looked different. So if yours doesn't look exactly like mine, that's totally fine, because mine even don't look exactly like mine. So we're doing the front line of all of the horse's legs, and then in the next step, we do the back line of the horse's legs. So it's like we're doing the top line, and then later we'll do the bottom line. So next we have our second leg. That's from the very middle of our circle, almost like it looks like a sucker, like a circle with a line coming out it. This is slightly curved, and if you want to draw it perfectly stick straight, that's totally fine too. Now, from the back leg, like we said, big old muscle. So it starts with this curve and it comes around almost like an upside down number 6 or a backwards. See how that kind of looks like a number 6? Maybe. Then we have a curve forward. Then for the other leg, it's kind of the exact same thing. Now it's okay if this leg comes down further because it's in front, where this line and this line show legs that are farther behind. So I'm actually going to erase a tiny bit so that this one and this one are on the same level. Now for the back parts of the leg. So right here, this kind of corner, you can probably see it better on these. This right here, that's kind of like its shoulder blade, I think. I'm not an expert on horses, so I'm pretty sure if we were a horse, that's kind of like its shoulder blade. So you start about here, and then we're going to go here. This joint right here is kind of like its elbow. Then we're going to come down. And I have some examples where it has its hoof turned, where that would be its wrist. If you don't want to do that, you can just have its hoof go straight down like this, or you can have it be turned back. And hoofs are kind of triangle-y shaped. Now for the other leg. And where all our lines are overlapping, we're going to have to do some erasing later. So this right here is for the elbow. Then we curve in because there's less muscles in that area. It's mostly tendons. And then we're going to go down to where the wrist of the horse's leg would be. And see, I even messed up, and I just kept drawing. I'm going to erase all my mess ups later when I have to erase anyway. Then the hoof, and there's the bottom of the hoof. Now for this back leg right here, we're going to make an S line, so it goes around the horse's rump, and then we make an S. So kind of like the letter S. Then we curve in to get skinnier where there's more tendons and less muscle, and come out where the wrist would be, and then we can go down. There. Now for this farther away leg, curve for the wrist and then down for the hoof. So now we have all of that. Now we need to do some erasing. The parts that we're going to erase, and if you need to pause, rewind, go back to see like what parts I'm erasing, what parts I'm not, totally fine, do that. So I'm erasing this bottom part of this circle, and I'm going to keep part of this circle, but not all of it. Then for this circle, I'm going to erase everything that's inside of this leg because this leg is in front. We wouldn't be able to see anything behind it. Then I'm going to erase half of this circle that's through the body. Now to draw the head, we need to make sure that the head is smaller than the rib cage, because I don't know about you, but my head is smaller than my rib cage. And because this is a practice, if you draw your head too far away, that's totally fine. You could turn your practice horse into a practice giraffe. That's why we practice. It still helps get the technique down, even if you mess up something like the head being too far away. So I'm going to draw the head. And if you draw your head too small, too big, that's why we do this. Don't erase and get frustrated. Just keep going, and then when you practice this again next time, you can adjust those things then, because you'll already know what to do. So I'm curving the lines of the neck slightly curving them into the parts of the body. So the back of the head where the mane will be, into the back of the rib cage, inside of the neck, down to the front of the chest there. Then for the, start with a circle for the skull, then do the neck, and then do the snout. So next is the snout. The snout, we're going to go out here. We're going to follow the inside curve of the neck to do a curve for the bottom of the snout. Then we're going to have a diagonal line going pretty far down here and a shorter one here. Then for the mouth, well, we're not to the mouth yet. I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay, so then after we have the head, neck, and snout, and again, if I'm going too fast, just pause it. Totally fine. I'm going to erase this part of the circle that we don't need anymore. Then I'm going to erase part of the head that we don't need. We're going to keep this curve right here for the jaw, because horses have really big jaws, so it's very, that muscle that's in the jaw that allows them to chew, very noticeable. So we're going to keep part of that right there, because why get rid of it if we have to draw it again later. Then the head is a little bit flat because he's serious, so it's not as round and soft lines. He's much more sharp angles. Then his mouth from the tip right here tilts down because again, he's serious. The nose is like a backwards 6, and that gets colored in. The eye is a slanted line with a curve. And then his ears are kind of like cat ears in the fact that they're pointy, but we're going to have them curve back. We have them curve back because when a horse is very intense and serious and flustered, their ears tilt back. It shows that they're very intense. And we can erase that little bit that's inside the ear. The front ear anyway. The back ear is just fine. Then for the hair is up here to show you how to do it. We start right behind this ear and we do curve up, down, and around and make an S. Then we go to the bottom of the neck where the mane ends and we do the same line, up, down, and around, and an S. Then we do a wiggly line to connect the tops of these two lines. And from there we can do some extra lines. Remember, this is not hair. It's supposed to be like a column of water. So we don't need to do too many extra lines. We're just showing the direction that the water's going in. Then horses tend to have a little bit of hair that comes off on their forehead. So between these two ears, right in front of the front ear, I'm going to go out, around, and come down where the snout is. Then I'm going to go behind the snout and it's going to come out right here and I can curve it again. Then I do a smaller one and that shows the other side of this column of water. And this column, it looks like, because I made this column of water curve forward, this one kind of goes behind it. That's totally fine. Like I said, every time I draw this, I tend to draw it differently. Because horses are lots of organic lines. They're not just simple rectangles and squares. Now for the tail, it's basically the same thing. Come out and around, out and around. You want it to be wider at the bottom than at the top. Couple of extra lines, not too many. We don't want it to look like hair. Then for the ripples at the bottom of the puddles, I noticed in the photos that I looked at online, they had these, but not necessarily around all of the feet. Some of them had them around the hair, and some of them had it around the hair and the feet. For ripples on puddles, you have to make sure that the sides go out further and then it gets really skinny and it goes out. Okay, so that is basically Nokk. Oh, I didn't do his little hoofs. That's basically him. Or her. I don't know. Is it a boy or a girl? I don't know if they say in the movie. So this is a finished one that I did previously, and I outlined it in marker, and then I colored it in with crayon. Now, if you're doing a fire horse or a wind horse, like were some of my examples, you can color it in however you want. It doesn't matter how you draw it. Remember, this is a practice. We're just trying this out. What we are looking at is to see how we do it. We're just trying it out. So do your best, color it in how you want, and I would love to see what you guys come up with. So share it with me.